Somewhere in a distant universe, there lived one elephant named Elliot, who went about his dull routine in his dull office day after day. He was a timid creature and a child at heart. He would often think about one thing obsessively, which left him completely incapable of focusing on the task at his trunk. After another tedious day at the office, Elliot walked back to his apartment, and as he crossed the streets of the city, he felt a bit melancholy. Finally, weighed down by morose thoughts, he arrived at his home, and right then his neighbor peeped out of a window and yelled, "Hey, Elliot! You need to come see what I've created." Intrigued, Elliot decided to visit his furry friend. His name was Rhett, and he was a rodent of an unknown species who was truly a genius. Rhett promptly explained, "This is a device that allows the images in your head to be captured and shown on a digital screen. There are 2 helmets so that someone could work with you." So Rhett strapped them both onto the machine, and the 2 were instantly channeled into Rhett's marvelous world. At first, there was only a plain white screen, but Rhett gently suggested, "Imagine a flower for me in your head," and Elliot did. "Now imagine a rocket ship for me," said Rhett. "Now that you know how this machine works, I shall let your mind run on its own." Elliot went on and on until Rhett brought the machine to a halt. He then said, "I do have one problem, however. The machine needs more testing, so would you be so kind as to be my tester?" Elliot accepted without hesitation. One evening, when Elliot was happily doodling away, Rhett returned with an unfamiliar guest. Before Elliot could ask, Rhett said, "This here is Ellie. From now on, Ellie will be your partner, and the 2 of you can share the machine." Elliot thought first and imagined a modest creature. Then Ellie made a creature of her own. Elliot then imagined a dragon, and Ellie followed. They were talking in a language distinct only to themselves and found delight in their newfound partnership. The 2 elephants would spend the evening endlessly talking about their common interests. But one day, Ellie was just not as responsive. Elliot asked if everything was all right. Ellie remained silent. After a few minutes, she spoke. "I'm going to be leaving next week, and I don't know when I will come back." They decided to wait until they could be together again. Elliot promised not to let go, and Ellie promised the same. "I'll miss you, and will never forget you," Elliot said. Ellie replied, "I love you too." That evening, as promised, Elliot called Ellie. He told her about his day, and Elliot couldn't help but say, "I miss you already." Elliot tried to seize every opportunity to see his dear elephant, but it seemed that disappointment was the only thing to look forward to in their relationship. One day, Ellie just did not sound the same. And then she admitted, "I don't know what's wrong, but as much as I've searched, I seem to have lost the feelings I once had. Until the moment I recover those feelings, we should take a break." Elliot was speechless, but Ellie had already hung up. When he returned home, he dialed the one number he knew best. Elliot anxiously waited for a response, only to hear nothing but silence. Elliot continued to produce new images, but they were not as beautiful as those he'd shared with Ellie. The machine kept running, capturing all of Elliot's misery and suffering, until the projector screen went berserk and the machine sizzled and fumed. With a mixture of pity and empathy, Rhett said, "I understand that you've not been feeling great lately, but you can't allow the pain to consume what you have left. And besides, the machine that gave you both so much pleasure is broken beyond repair." Fortunately, the following morning was Saturday, and Elliot began to do the things he'd once enjoyed. Rhett sometimes joined Elliot, and together they had fun. As thoughts of Ellie slipped in, he pushed them away, and slowly the pain began to dissolve. Time gradually returned to its normal pace, and Elliot went on with his life. But one day, Rhett called Elliot into his lab one last time. Elliot walked into the room, but the machine seemed to be nowhere in sight. Rhett then said, "You never actually damaged the machine. I've shut down the entire program because I realized this world was just not ready for my creation. But the reason I've asked you to pay a final visit is that I thought you might like to view your personal files for one last time." So Elliot watched his creations and his memories of Ellie, both beautiful and agonizing. As the final images flickered across the screen, Elliot was struck with bittersweet memories. Filled with thoughts, he walked over to the window and saw the city laid out before him. But the view that he saw from that window was far more spectacular than he had ever seen before.